What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Uncle Rza back in the building. Let's talk about backwards compatibility, what many have been calling the bombshell feature at E3 2015. Of course, I'm gonna have to disagree. I think a lot of what Microsoft showed was really dope, and the backward compatibility thing was sort of a to me at least. Now, I went on these long rants before defending both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One at the beginning of these new consoles. And, you know, it was a bit of a topic at the beginning of the 360 as well. People were bitching and moaning about backwards compatibility, and this is a mindset that I just can't I just can't conform to. I mean, I'm spending $500 on this piece of hardware that's better in essentially every sense of the word, in terms of the potential, the graphical abilities, everything. Why the hell would I want to spend that money to go back and play old shit? Now, I get it, I hear you. There's people out there, oh, Uncle Rza, you're not a real gamer. You know, games are timeless, games are classic. Like, yeah, I hear you with that bullshit, but I just don't, I don't like it. I feel like too much of this generation was spent trying to be, how do I say, trying to be a all-in-one solution and trying to really accommodate everyone. So if you look at something like Battlefield 4, my god, that game suffered from the jump. And one of the main things about it was it ran on so many different platforms. That thing ran on the Xbox 360, it ran on the PS3, it ran on the PC, then it ran on the Xbox One and the PS4. And they just could not get it together. Like, that game went through the ringer. And I mean, 2 years later, like, it's finally a decent game, and minus all the money I spent on it. Like, that type of behavior sucks, man. And now you're starting to see a lot of these guys, like the Fallout thing came out and everyone's clapping for Bethesda for not supporting the old consoles. Like, what do you want, a fucking round of applause? You shouldn't be doing it in the first place. You developed it on the new shit, then run it on the new shit. But I'm speaking from my point of view. I know there are people out there who are in the consumer world and they care about their products. You know, there's a such thing as value. There's people with kids who wants to buy games once and have them last forever, so on and so forth. And that's something that I had to come to the realization to understand. You know, backwards compatibility has a place. And even if you look at Sony, they had a solution in mind with the PlayStation Now service. I thought it was so dope. I still do think PlayStation Now is dope, except for those prices, and that completely ruins the entire effort. But that's neither here nor there. So Microsoft originally said that the console, the Xbox One, could not support backwards compatibility, and they left it at that, and they kept moving. Now at this E3, they announced it, and people are sort of pointing fingers in a nasty way, like, yeah, well, they said the Xbox couldn't work without the Kinect, and then they started selling it 6 months later. And I think it's important to really understand, listen, and understand the type of person that's saying these things. Complete fuckfaces. So people may have Microsoft may have developed this product and engineered it in such a way, very forward thinking, but the consumer complained, and they found a way to make everything right by your complaints, and that now becomes a complaint. That's interesting. I feel like who raised you? Where are your parents? But anyway, one thing that we shouldn't discredit here is you're talking about Microsoft, and I'm not even going to say arguably, they are the best software engineers in the world. And if anyone was going to find a way to do it, it would have been them. Now, this is a very difficult thing. If you look at Sony with the cell processor and how resilient that thing was, that entire architecture was to hacking, it was amazing. Now, the problem they run into that was it was so complex and so airtight, they couldn't even find a way to emulate that. And it just goes to show how powerful the PlayStation 3 is. You know, and they just gave up and started doing versions of it in the cloud. I'm sorry. So here comes Microsoft. They actually found a way to emulate these games. And what's dope about it is it's a full-on Xbox 360 emulator that's going to be running on the Xbox One. And what's dope about it is the Xbox really doesn't know that it's playing an Xbox 360 game. Or maybe I should say it the other way around. The 360 game has no idea that it's running on an Xbox One or something that is not an Xbox 360. So they figured out a way to do it, and I really didn't like the punchline that they threw in there. Again, with the childish behavior, the subliminals. You know, they at the press conference they said, "Here's backwards compatibility, and we won't be charging you to play your old games or games that you already own." Like, come on, guys, they didn't need to do that, but it's a point, right? It is a very real point, because this changes things for Sony. Sony's out there charging for PlayStation Now, and then the library is not as large as some would like. Like, chances are your fuckface game isn't there. Maybe your popular titles, but that one game that got a 6 out of a 10 that no one cared about that you really loved probably isn't on PlayStation Now. But nonetheless, Microsoft did the backwards compatibility thing. Do I think it is a game changer in the way the console wars are perceived? No. I think it's an attractive thing to consumers. I think it's one more bullet point that was removed from the cons group at the end of a review. For instance, if you look back at any review, be it GameSpot, IGN, Polygon, they literally gave a negative mark for backwards compatibility on both consoles, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. So it's cool to see them, you know, double back and start to make right by that list, and one by one take care of it, you know, much like they did with the Kinect. You know, if you think the price is too high, well then unbundle the Kinect. If you didn't want it, you don't want it. So dopeness on Microsoft's behalf. I like how they are listening to the feedback, how they're listening to the consumer. I'm still not quite sold on this backward compatibility thing personally, because there isn't much I want to play. But I might be a bit of a hypocrite, because I plays the hell out of some Xenogears and Final Fantasy Tactics on my Vita. It's your boy Uncle Rza. I'm out of here. Peace.